GB Studio time. Welcome back, everybody, to another Code Peterson tutorial. I had a request asking if I can make a demonstration with GB Studio on how to deal with inventory systems. I've kind of briefly touched base with this before, like when we worked with collision groups and with variables, but nothing really specifically to this. So my plan for this tutorial is possibly to split it into two parts. The first part dealing with some inventory, the second part adding a shop with that. I think if I try to do both at the same video, it'll be too long and you don't want to have to wait and watch all that if only part of it relates to what you're trying to make. I did utilize some assets that I've created for some of my other games. For example, these arrows that I've used, a coin, a key, a bone, a hammer, a piece of meat, and two of my simple levels. I also used my little square character, and then I'm reutilizing my Thor image sprite or actor for the shop later. So you can create your sprites however you want for this or apply it to yours. If you're not sure how to do that, just look back through this playlist and you can find out how to do each of those. And without all that said, we'll kind of get started with this. So I did, like I said, I created all those. And if I go to sprites, you can see I just clicked and dragged them and brought them all in here and kind of set them up to how I want them to be, just like we've done with all our other tutorials. And then for images, like I think in version 3 that used to say backgrounds, but now I believe it just says, well, now it says images, but I think it used to say background. So if you're using an older version of GB Studio, you're like, this doesn't match up, I think that's the reason why. So that might be something that'll get fixed later. But anyway, I did bring in those levels that I created for those other games, and you could just use one if you want. I just thought it would be easier to have a shop in one area and items that respawn in another area, but it's entirely up to you. Going back here to my game world, you can see I did bring this here, and all that is set up is I just have a trigger. If you come into collision with this, it takes you down here to this scene. If you come into collision with this, it takes you up there. And we've done that with our other games too. You can kind of see how that works and all of that. My scene I do have set up as a top-down 2D. You can do a lot of these things the same way with like a platform game. It's just the layout's gonna be a little bit different, but it shouldn't provide any other problems for anything else that you're trying to do. Okay, so since we have that character there, what I'll do here is I'll go up here and we start up here in scene 2, even though you would think we'd start in scene 1, but this is just where I have it starting. So I will go here and I'm going to add, with this bottom scene selected, I'll add an actor. And I'll just click here. And the first actor I'm going to add in here is going to be a coin. And if I copy, actually, nope, I'm just going to set it up like that for now. I'll make one instance of this coin to begin with. And we can give this coin a collision group of, we'll go 1 just because it's the first item that's on there. It really won't matter too much what you decide to use yours if you're applying this to a game that you've already created and you already have collision group 1 assigned for an enemy, for instance, so you can just use a different one if you want. And we'll say on hit with player, and we're going to add an event, and we are going to deactivate actor, which is going to be that coin, so it'll disappear. And then we are going to go variable increment by 1. All right, and then this little variable down here where it says local, we want to click that drop down, and because this is going to be something with an inventory, we don't want that inventory to reset when we go to scene 2, for example. We want it to carry with us no matter what room we go into. So instead of a local variable, we need it to be a global variable. So we'll go down here to global and we'll find where it says variable 0 because that's our first one. And then we can click this little pencil here to the right hand side and we'll call this coins. All right, now we have our first instance of our variable and it's going to add to it and it'll remember when it's in there. Once we have that there, then we can copy that and then just paste this a few times so that it is just gives us multiple things to pick up in there. Okay, now with that said, we need to have some place where we can store that. Now you can make a heads-up display or do different things with that, but if we're just using our basic GB Studio and we're not doing our normal heads-up display, we can do our display dialog, which would show this. So that's what we'll do here. And if I go down here and go to on init and I go to add event and I'll go attach script to button. And what button do I want to use? I'm going to say start. And that, if I was playing this on a Game Boy, it'd be the start button, obviously. But on my keyboard, it'll be return. And here I'll go on press. I'll go add event. And I'll search for display dialog. All right, now to begin with, I'll go coins. And then I'm putting a colon there. Then to refer to the variable we're using, we just put in a $, and then we start typing in our variable name, coins, then we can select it. You can see on here it says coins, $, and here we have this green reference to our variable that we're using. All right, we have that set up down there. I'm also going to copy this event and then I'll select up here to scene 2 and under on init, I'll click this drop down menu and replace script. Now we'll have our little inventory tracker as we go through this. So let's try this out. Okay, coins, when I press return, there's no coins. All right, we go down here. Hey, look, here are some coins. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick those up, we go to 4. We leave this area, we come back down. And it's keeping track of our coins no matter where we're at. And if I pick another one of these up, now we have coins that are 5. That's the simple way to get started. All right, now I should actually make the outside of these walls be solid, so I might do that real quick. Just go in here to brick, and I should have done that before, but I wasn't thinking about it. But just kind of tighten this up a little bit. All right, that, like I said, is the first way to create our coins. I'm going to erase a couple of these now just so you can see what we're going to be doing here. All right, now the next part is, let's say we want to add another event. All right, now this time I'm going to go here and I'm going to add an actor, and I'll put it here to the side, and we'll go here to our little sprite sheet. And this one here, maybe we'll go with something like the meat that we used before. All right, so here is meet. And this, I will also give this a collision group of 1 for right now because it's essentially going to behave the same way as this coin. All right, and then we'll go here to on hit with player, and we need to start it off the same way, right? We need to go on here to deactivate the actor. That's the first thing we want to do. We want it to disappear. And this time we are going to add, or let's search for variable, and we'll say set to, we could do the same thing actually. We could say increment by 1. Yeah, that's fine. And this one, again, we want it to be a global variable, and coins is our old variable 0. We just renamed it. That means we need to go to our next available one, which is variable 1. And then we'll go here to the pencil, and we will say this one is going to be called bones. So every time you pick up a piece of ham, you eat the meat off it, and then you have these bones to throw. Kind of like what we did with our caveman game, or our prehistorio game. All right, that allows us to pick those up. Now, if we go here and select scene 1 here, we want to make reference to bone on here. So we'll go bones, and we'll go here to $, bones, and that one is added there. We can also go up here, and we could go just add it up to our other level also. So like when we're dealing with inventory, you don't want to think of it as inventory. We're just thinking of it as keeping track of a value for a variable that we're setting here. Okay, now this is cool. We can pick up this bone, but let's say we want to have it to where we can throw this bone that is on here. Okay, so let's go and go like on init with this scene 1 here, and we'll add an event. And we want to say we can only do this if we have bones to throw. So let's compare variable with value. All right. We'll click on that, and it says if local is equal to 0. We'll click this, and we'll scroll down, and we want to find bones. And we're going to say if bones is greater than 0, then we're going to add an event, and we're going to search for projectile, launch projectile. And it brings this item down here in this if statement. And you can see it's all contained here if this condition is true, if bones is greater than 0. So if it's less than 0, we don't have to worry about it. And I'm actually just going to take this. There's some way, yeah, if I click up here, I can disable else. And so that way we don't have that extra spot down there to mess around with. But we have this on here. What do we want to use for this? Well, I have a little graphic that I'd put in there of a bone. In the animation state, default, I'm not animating it. I just have it as 1 frame for this example. And we'll say the launch at, and we'll say actor direction. And here's the player on here. And I'm not going to worry about the direction offset for right now. That's just if you want it to not shoot out from the middle of the player, but my player is just a cube, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then we have the speed here. Maybe I'll speed it up a little bit. And animation speed, like I said, doesn't matter. And then the lifetime is just how long that thing is going to be on the screen before it disappears. So it's not trying to keep track of these things that we're throwing as it leaves the level. All right. We have a destroy on hit, and we could say if this thing's supposed to collide with something, we'll just say it can collide with number 3, and it's going to have a collision group of 2. So we'll say anything we're throwing is going to be a projectile is going to be a collision group of 2. And then over here, it's going to collide with any enemy, and we'll just pretend like in this particular game, our enemies are going to be in a collision group of 3. Now, if we throw the bone, we no longer have it with us anymore. So I'm going to go down here to add event and search for decrement by 1. And then we'll go in here and we will find bones, and it'll decrement by 1. I didn't map this out to a button. So I'm going to go down here to the very bottom, and I'm going to add an event. And I will go to attach script to button. All right, and then it's asking me what I want to press for this button, and B's fine for right now. And yes, I'll have it override default button action. And then I will bring this if bones is greater than 0. I'll click and bring this down here and drag it into this on press. So if I press B and bones is greater than 0, then it's going to launch the bone from the player in the actor direction, and then it's going to subtract 1 from bones on there. All right, let's try this and see if this works. Go down here, pick this up, and there we throw that bone. But now when I press it, it doesn't let me throw anymore because I'm out of them. Okay, so if I go up here and then go back down here, and this is why I use the 2 rooms for this, and I go up here and go down here. So I'll pick up, I don't know, just 3 of these. So you see we have our inventory there. It's counting them each time that we go through that. Now I press B or X on my keyboard, depending on how you're playing this, and you can see it subtracted 1 from that. I press it again, subtracts another one, press another one, and it subtracts it on there also. All right, so that is kind of the beginning, I guess, introduction to inventory. Let me know if that helps out. And then in my next tutorial down the road, when I get some time to do this, then I'm going to just take this game here, and in this top area of the level, I'm going to put a shopkeeper up there, and then we'll be able to talk to the shopkeeper and purchase things with the coins that we're using to buy other things in there. So hopefully this helps out with some of those ideas of how you can incorporate an inventory system to your game. Let me know if it was helpful in the comments, or if there's anything you want added onto it. And we'll hopefully catch you on another video. Have a great day.